Hey guys, welcome to the Cinema Corral. This is the section of my YouTube channel where I talk about the latest releases and let you know if they're worth your time and money. In this video I'm talking about the movies that came out the week of August 23rd, 2019 that includes Ready or Not, The Peanut Butter Falcon, Overcomer, and Angel Has Fallen, so let's begin. Alright, first up, Ready or Not. I really like this movie. Now, this is the dumbest premise for a movie I have seen in a long time, but you can have a dumb premise as long as your execution is great, and man, the execution really works for this film. There's great elements of dark comedy, horror elements, suspense, a lot of tension building. Samara Weaving, she plays the leading lady, the bride, that is being hunted down by her new in-laws, and she is a great lead. I really liked her. She's funny, she's charming, you care about her, and that's really what you want out of your main character. The set design is pretty awesome. I wonder how much of the horror-ish elements, the more brutal elements were practical, and which ones were special effects that were done on the computer. But man, this film really just works for me. Now, I had some weird things happen when I went to go see this film. The first of which, this kind of comes par for the course for horror films, but there were like 5 or 6 teenage girls that were in the very back of the auditorium just chatting it up. One of the managers came in, told them to be quiet, and then they came in a couple minutes later and just kicked him right out, so that was kind of entertaining to watch that happen. I wish that the couple sitting next to me, they were an older couple, maybe about 40s, 50s, and honestly I think it's kind of cute that they went to go see a bloody, irreverent film like Ready or Not together and had a great time with it. I just wish they would have shut up, because every time that something would happen, oh no, oh wow, oh gosh, oh they're gonna kill her, oh golly, just shut up, please. There's a sequence where the brother-in-law finds the bride, and instead of, killing her, he pours himself a drink, and then he goes to hand her a glass of brandy, and the couple beside me gasped when he handed her the glass of brandy. I'm just like, God, what is wrong with you people? And then at the very beginning of the film, I thought I heard some small children talking about, no, there aren't small children in here. I looked to my right near the beginning of the third act, and a dad has his 2 5-year-old boys with him in this movie. And I don't know what I'm more impressed with. The fact that he thought it was a good idea to bring his 2 5-year-old children to a movie with heavy violence, lots of blood and gore, and plenty of profanities, or the fact that they were the best behaved people in the auditorium. This is really a movie that you kind of just want to watch with a well-behaved audience, one that will react appropriately to these things that are happening on screen. But this is a really fun movie. There isn't a whole lot of depth to the film itself, but I don't really think that it really needs to have all that much depth. It's a sadistic game of hide and seek. I don't know how much depth you need. They do develop the characters enough to the point where you care about them and you want to see the bride not die. The jokes here are pretty funny, the violence is fun, it's just a great time. I'm gonna go ahead and give Ready or Not a B+. It's engaging and I had a fantastic time with it. Go check it out. Next up we have The Peanut Butter Falcon, and I also really enjoyed this film. Now, it takes a little bit of time to actually get the ball rolling in terms of the story. There's a subplot of Shia LaBeouf's character Tyler getting involved in this business war with other fishermen. And that really isn't all that interesting at the beginning, and then it comes into play later on, and I still really didn't think that was all that interesting, but that really doesn't matter because the heart of this film lies between Zach and Tyler. Zach Gottsagen, I really hope I'm saying his name right. He's great in the role as, Zach, and he's a 20-something-year-old with Down syndrome who has dreams of becoming a wrestler and going to this wrestling school. So he and Tyler embark on this almost Mark Twain adventure, and it's really endearing. It's so sweet. You really like both of them, and even when they introduce Zach's caretaker into the mix, it feels very sincere and very genuine. That's really the heart of this movie. I'm not going to say that this movie is entirely perfect. There's something that happens at the end that I really didn't care for all that much, and the film almost kind of abruptly ends, but any shortcomings that this film has is completely made up by the relationship between these two characters, and it just makes you want to go on an adventure like this. Then again, I'd probably get like 3 miles away from my apartment and be like, alright, I'm done. It's such a beautiful film. It's so sweet. There's no other real words to describe it. It's sweet. Go check it out. It's a shame that this isn't doing better at the box office, because this is infinitely better than the last 2 movies that I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to go ahead and give The Peanut Butter Falcon a B. Please check this one out. It's well worth your time. Next up, we have Overcomer, and this is the latest film from the Kendrick brothers. It's the studio that put out War Room, Facing the Giants, Flywheel. I know I'm really stretching back my Kendrick brothers knowledge. Well, I grew up in a Christian household, and so I ended up seeing quite a few of their older movies. I think the last one I remember properly seeing was Facing the Giants, and when I was a kid I really wasn't wowed by them, and all these years later I am still not wowed by them. Their filmmaking is rather shoddy. It's Sunday school, but as a movie. The storytelling here is rather bare bones. You don't really care about the characters. There's a lot of overacting. In fact, this movie is so melodramatic. So the premise of this film is that there is a girl with asthma and she wants to be a runner. She wants to do cross country. And so the only coach, I guess, at this high school used to coach basketball, but because of people losing their jobs at a factory, all these students and their families are relocating, so he's got no team. So he's forced to take on coaching duties for cross country. And over the course of the film, they find this girl's father. And there's a scene where her father records coaching audio for her to play while she's racing. And right as they get to the final lap, it gets super melodramatic, complete with zoom-ins on the guy's face, and it's so cheesy. The dialogue here is pretty stiff. The performances aren't terrible, but they're also not particularly good. The cinematography is generic and bland. There's nothing spectacular about this film. It's not particularly offensive in terms of spreading a hateful message, but it's also not something that I would recommend to anybody that's not religious. Just to be clear, I'm not attacking Christianity, I'm not attacking religion, but there are better ways to have faith-based films than to abandon the concept of a scene just to deliver a preachy monologue. That's basically what happens in this film. It's sequences of characters preaching at another character, and it gets really old after a while. This isn't a genuine criticism of the film. I just think it's kind of funny that apparently they got sponsorship from Nike, because you see Nike products out the wazoo, but they couldn't get any sponsorship from Post. They have Boast Honeybombs instead of Post Honeycombs. I can't really recommend this film to anybody. It's kind of schlocky. I'm going to go ahead and give it a D. If you like the Kendrick brothers, you might get something out of it. There's obviously an audience for these films. I'm just not that audience. Last up, we have Angel Has Fallen. This is the latest film in the Fallen series, and I really did not like this film at all. So I want you to think of like 10 cliches that you would see in a political action thriller focused on a framed assassination attempt on the president. And I'm sure if you were to list out 10 cliches, at least 7 of them would be in this film. This film is so cookie cutter, it is painful. The action is uninspired. There's a sequence where 2 armies of drones are fighting each other, and that's the point where I realized, oh, it's going to be this kind of movie. It's just one cliche after the other, and much like Overcomer, you don't care about the characters. They try to develop Gerard Butler's character, Mike, Matt, Mark. I don't care what his name is because I don't care about him. They try to develop a relationship between him and his father, and that feels tacked on. I don't really have all that much to say. The dialogue is bad, the script is bad, the direction is bad, the visuals are bad, the editing is generic. I was going to go easy on this movie until the last 15 minutes. Something that I had thrown out as a joke at the beginning of the film turned out to be something that actually happens. This movie is the definition of brain-dead Hollywood trash, and it really frustrates me that something this garbage is getting more money at the box office than something that's actually good. It's a shame that Ready or Not as it should be. It's a shame that the Peanut Butter Falcon isn't doing as well as it should be. It's a shame that Blinded by the Light isn't doing as well as it should be. But something as generic as this, with Gerard Butler, one of the least memorable movie stars. I don't understand general audiences. They complain about movies lacking originality, but this movie is the definition of lacking originality. There's nothing here that you have not seen done better elsewhere. And honestly, I could stand generic schlock if it were entertaining, but my god, this movie is so boring. I checked out so many times in this film because I don't care. I'm giving Angel Has Fallen an F. Do not watch it, do not rent it, do not buy it, do not go pay money to see it in theaters. It's not worth your time, and it's definitely not worth your money. So that's all I got for you for this episode of Cinema Corral. I might be late with the next couple reviews. Fortunately, there are only 2 movies that came out this week, but if you don't know, I live in Florida, and Florida's about to be hit by Hurricane Dorian. I'm not thrilled about it, but them's the breaks. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can get notified every time I upload, and I will see you later.